How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Mandrake. This is from 2022 and is a Shudder original movie. This is directed by Lynne Davison and stars Deirdre Mullins, Derbhle Crotty, Paul Kennedy, and Seamus O'Hara. Seamus O'Hara. Did I mention this was an Irish film? And overall, this movie does fall into this sort of a pre-established type of movie that I've seen around a lot, and if you guys are horror fans, you're probably familiar with this type of movie. A movie with good cinematography. Everyone involved is taking it very, very seriously, but at the end of the day, nothing happens and it's super, super boring. Yeah, I don't know, but this type of movie comes up all the time. These serious, kind of pretentious horror films that just don't know how to be engaging or entertaining. And really, this movie has about, I'd say, 20 to 30 minutes of actual plot. Give me the editing scissors, I can chop this thing down, and we can use this as a section in an anthology film, because really it doesn't have enough going on to warrant a full movie. Also, none of the characters are particularly interesting. The movie is dark, but never manages to be scary. And overall, I found myself bored most of the time and nowhere near scared or engaged. And there's also all this stuff with the characters and people just having really weird choices in their morals, and we'll get to that in a minute. I guess let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and go and do a bit of analysis on this film, but I'll be avoiding the end, I'll be avoiding the major spoilers, and let's take a look at the plot. We open up with a lady parole officer, and we get a character introduction scene where she's checking in on one of her parolees. It's at this really run-down, I guess it's a gas station or something. Honestly, it was run down to the point where I thought this was a post-apocalyptic movie at first, because I didn't read the back of the box going into this, and I thought, oh, are we like a Mad Max 1 type of deal? No, it's just a rundown gas station in Ireland. These two people are sitting there. One of them's the parolee. The other is his bad influence friend who's going to call the parole officer the C word and then push her to the ground. Yeah, I do want to say, all you 14-year-olds who are jaded and hate America and think Europe's this like utopia, no, it's terrible everywhere. Don't you worry about that. So yeah, that's how you open up. We then get her going back to her office, and one of her co-workers comes in and is upset because she got the Bloody Mary case. And even though the main character, this is one of her few times where she can spend time with her son, she is divorced and is sharing custody, and you know, this lady seems to not want this case. Forget my son, let's just take a look at this Bloody Mary character, do some of her work for her at the expense of some of my relationship with my son, okay, whatever. But she asked one of her friends, what's up with this Bloody Mary case? Well, she just got out of prison, and she killed her husband with an axe. Okay, why? Well, it turns out that Bloody Mary and this other guy were having an affair. The husband found out about it, killed the other guy, and tried to kill Mary, and she survived and killed her husband with an axe. This sounds like a super clear case of self-defense Why is she in the system? And she even had her son taken away. Obviously, there's more to the story we find out later, but just given what we're given now, it really just doesn't make any sense at all. A lady had to do self-defense against a husband that already killed someone and tried to kill her. Off the bat, it makes no sense. However, when they found the other man's dead body, they found witchcraft stuff nearby it, which is why everyone calls her the witch and everyone in town is scared of her. Because they found it near the other man's dead body, which the husband killed? This story doesn't add up and doesn't make sense, but we're not led to question it. And in turn, everything is just odd. It makes all the townspeople seem like really mean and ignorant people for calling her the witch and shunning her. And it gets frustrating, you know? But of course, I think this is the moral of the story, right? They're going to say that she's not a witch, and they're going to say, oh, look, you shouldn't judge people, right? No, quite quickly in the movie, she's revealed to actually be a witch, and, you know, doing all the child kidnapping and stuff that goes in a story like this. So she is evil. So what's the moral of our story? To judge people based on assumptions? To just take the flimsy evidence and run with it? Honestly, the story we were presented at the beginning, I thought we were going to get a sympathetic witch character. I obviously should have paid more attention to the back of the box, but no, she is for real a witch, and the townsfolk were right to shun her, I guess. And this setup is terrible. I'm not saying you can't do this story, but your setup is so confusing here as to what you're trying to go for, and it's not great. But anyway, the witch does eventually kidnap 2 kids, and a lot of the beginning of the movie is a search party, and yeah, lots of scenes of just wandering through the woods looking for the kids. But also, the kids being missing is supposed to be this big emotional anchor point, and obviously in real life, kids going missing is terrible, no one deserves that fate, but we only see these kids once before they go missing, when they harass and are huge jerks to our main character. I mean, obviously, like I said, no kid should ever deserve to go missing, but why wouldn't you show us our kids being nice kids that we would feel sad if they went missing? Why did you show us the emotional heart of the first half of the movie being huge jerks and then nothing else, and then asking us to be sad when they're missing? This emotional weight problem is so bad in the setup of the movie that I can't really get behind or feel anything. And it's like the main character, okay, she's our main character, we're following her, and, you know, she legitimately cares for people, which is good, but so many other people in the town will say, oh, you're trying to help people out on parole? Don't you know they're awful people anyway? Why even bother? All the people in the town seem so evil, but then they're right because she really is a witch. So, this is such a frustrating movie. The second half does go into a captivity thriller phase, and there is more magic leanings in the second half, so by default it's a little more interesting, but it still somehow finds a way to be boring. And I'm sitting there bored out of my mind, but I don't want to just say in my review, it's boring. That's not a deep analysis. I decided to try to think and analyze and figure out why it is boring, and as I said earlier, not enough happens. This movie could easily, and I mean easily, be chopped down to 20 to 30 minutes long. We get a lot of the scenes in this movie, the people walking and talking, i.e. a whole lot of the searcher segments, or, you know, talking about the drama behind the divorce or something, and not great. A whole bunch of shots of like the witch picking flowers or something. And yeah, you know, not physically enough. Also, there's no weight behind any of this stuff in the movie. You should feel the drama and the tension, the weight. A good example of nothing in this movie having weight, a guy gets stabbed later in the movie, and you look at this guy and he looks more annoyed than in pain. He's like, "You stabbed me." Well, obviously he doesn't say that. It's just the look on his face is annoyed and not, "Oh my gosh, I might die." Also, during the captivity sections, in the later half, you can tell she wants to get away, but it's not this constant frightened effort, you know? Think the characters in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That felt so real and visceral. Sally constantly wanting to get away, struggling at her bonds, screaming out of her mind. That's what you should have. And here it's like, "Oh no, I'm captured, I sure hope I get away." And it's really, there's just no weight behind anything that happens in here. And also, there's nothing super scary. Obviously, dealing with a witch who is kidnapping children, Hansel and Gretel style. Okay, there's dark themes and the cinematography looks good, so it feels dark, but it doesn't feel scary. A good example, we get a monster character in this movie, and he has a good character design, but he's never shot particularly scary. There's no scary scenes with him, and it just looks like this out-of-place guy in a suit coming and walking into the movie. The witch also, because of this confusing character introduction we got with her, she's never particularly scary. She's never menacing. When she goes to check in on Mary, there's never any tension like, "Oh no, we're going into the haunted cabin where the witch lives." It's just like, "Oh hey, there's Bloody Mary. Want to do some paperwork? We gotta put your ankle monitor on," and okay. You know, she's not scary either. There's no frightening and intense sequences. Hey, I could even go for a cheap jump scare. I'd be glad to get that. But no, it's just dark imagery without doing tension or scary sequences. And in turn, because of these three reasons, not enough plot, no weight behind any of the actions, and no scary tension, this movie just feels so flat and so boring, and it really was a struggle to get through. It's slow, its message is confused, and overall, I see these movies all the time, especially in streaming and direct-to-video. And really, people complain with mainstream theatrical releases, and don't get me wrong, there are some bad ones in those cases, but I feel like they don't know the depths that you can sink through. If you've seen a lot of streaming horror, and if you've seen a lot of direct-to-video horror, you know that movies can get super boring, and it makes you hesitant to pick up new ones the more ones we get like this. They're not the worst thing ever. These boring, pretentious films are pretty bad. They're not as bad as the factory films with like a ton of filler, but the factory films and the boring, pretentious ones are always the ones that you hope you don't get whenever you start a streaming movie or pick up a direct-to-video. And whenever you do get them, you're like, "Oh man, I got a dummy. Why did I get this one?" So, yeah, not great. And I don't know, I really wish someone had... there needs to be people in Hollywood that proofread the scripts and say, what are you trying to go for with Mary? Is she supposed to seem innocent and then it's a twist, but... then what message are you promoting that you should just judge someone like that? It's so confusing at the beginning, and I feel like if they just had a good proofreader on the script, I don't know if proofreader is the right word, but someone needs to look over these things before you greenlight them. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. this should be my Shudder movies playlist where I've talked about things like Nicolas Cage and Color Out of Space, and I talked about a ton of the Creepshow TV show. So if you want to see me talk about more Shudder movies, you should be able to find them in this playlist right here. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Shudder movies playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.